Hello, friends, and welcome to the CrossFit Games Update Show's regional coverage. Australia, Africa, Canada East, South Central, and NorCal all knee-deep in some CrossFit. Amazing races around the globe. I am Rory McKernan, and I am joined by the Jedi Council that is Pat Sherwood and Nicole Christensen.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like it a lot.
Thank you.
And I want to pick your brains, my friends. We're in the second week of competition. It's day 2. Let's zoom out for a second. Draw me an overall picture. What are these workouts doing?
Well, here's what's so cool about day 2. There's the potential for you to finish day 1, occupy a wonderful spot on the leaderboard, but still maybe have some holes in your fitness. But that's hard to do after day 2. We go long with the hundreds, mental grind as well. We break out the heavy deadlifts. I mean, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. I love it.
Yeah, okay, talk about the holes in the fitness, though. I could not have predicted that the heavy deadlift would be what tripped men, women, and teams up today in the competition.
So
we know Dave Castro is going to program a heavy deadlift. He has every regional to date that's been programmed for the whole world. And that fact that people aren't training for that, I don't know what's going on.
Can't do it. Gotta do it.
You know, not to mention that handstand push-ups are looming tomorrow, and there's no cuts to the field, so huge volatility as we saw today. But you know where there wasn't huge volatility?
Where?
Northern California. Want to see it?
Please.
Here it goes. The men's competition from the Sonoma County Fairgrounds, where Jason Khalipa, the NorCal Bear, is mauling the competition. Friends, family, anyone who gets in his way, really, comes out on the hundreds, event number 1. And Khalipa sets a world record. I should stop being surprised, but he was not the man I expected to beat Josh Bridges on this workout.
Yeah, but here's the thing that stands out to me about this workout. Sure, he puts in a world record time, and that's great. He's proven his fitness in the workout. But he proves his fitness after the workout because he is calm, cool, and collected and recovered a minute after the workout finishes. The judge, he's laughing with his judge, shaking his hand. Meanwhile, the other athletes are just disheveled and dismantled, lying on the ground, can't get up after they finish the workout.
He practices that too. He doesn't just practice these workouts, he practices that recovery. And I remember after seeing Miko do his first interview after a Fran, I remember Jason seeing that. I think I was with him, and he's like, he started practicing talking immediately following workouts.
But not only he excels at that, but he excels at what I like to call the Khalipa rest, which he executed perfectly during the hundreds. The man rests less than almost any other competitor. When he drops the ball for what most of us would take a small stroll the last 10 to 15 seconds, I time him. It's on the high side 5 seconds. It's usually about 3. So the guy's breaks are super fast. He just outworks you.
Yeah, I'm going to stop swinging from Khalipa's hoo-hoos, but the metabolic portfolio that he's demonstrating, I would invest in this, and I'm already looking forward to the games, and I'm thinking, here's a guy who's going to challenge Rich this year for the top spot. But let's move on to the next event, event number 5, where he actually took second in the event. A tragic finish for him, second place, and it was the young man from his own gym who actually did take the top spot, Garrett Fisher. These guys went rep for rep through the beginning of the workout, but in the 15s, Fisher pulled away when Khalipa dropped the barbell, and at the end of the workout, Fisher managed a W over Khalipa for his first win in the NorCal event.
Yeah, and we thought that Jason was just going to break those deadlifts up unbroken. He didn't choose to do that. Garrett takes the first top spot. Big thing with Garrett is he beat Jason in a workout.
Now, Khalipa's in a league of his own. He's got this thing locked down, but that first place finish for Garrett moves him into a tie with Neil Maddox, and then you've got Pat Barber occupying that 4th place spot. All the NorCal kids right there in a cluster.
Hey, we caught up with Jason on the phone just to have some fun with him because he took second on Event 5, and we let in really somber, like, Jay, you know, Event 5, what happened? Talk us through it.
He bombed it.
And he started laughing right away. He knew it, but he was laughing and giving all the credit to Garrett, a lot of accolades his way, but he was very lighthearted and having fun, and as well he should be because he's not stressed because he's put in the work over the last year or 2, and now he's just smelling the roses through the regional, so good luck catching him.
Yeah, smiles and roses because he's winning.
Yeah,
well, and if we look at the top 4 spots, we've got Neil Maddox and Garrett Fisher, Pat Barber. There's not going to be change in who those top 4 spots go to, but what order they play out in tomorrow is going to be pretty exciting.
Barber needs to bring his A game tomorrow. He could be going to the games again, but it's kind of his race to lose. 6 and 7 bode well for him, but it's up to him. He's got to do the work.
He'll bring it. Let's talk about the women. We had the nasty girl break into the top 3, Annie Sakamoto, but really the big conversation is all about the newcomer as far as my mind is concerned, Alessandra Pacelli. First place on both workouts, starting, of course, with the hundreds, and she came out and just smoked it. Looked like she was just working out with herself.
Again, caught my attention during the Open. Saw her at the Big Bob Challenge out at the ranch in Aromas, but, that's all fine and dandy, but how are you going to do it at regionals? That's what matters. Any questions I had, answered in spades.
Remember that she worked out for CrossFit Diablo in the games last year, so they were there to support her. Then we come to event number 5, and again, she just takes the lead and runs with it.
Yeah, I mean, throughout this workout, she looked smooth. I mean, she even looked like she sped up in the box jumps on her last round. She takes it pretty handedly, smiles again, recovers pretty darn quickly, doesn't look like it taxed her too much.
So those two first on the day move her into first by 13 points. Sakamoto jumps into second with a consistent day, and Ashley Caravu trades places with Pacelli, dropping to third. Pacelli, it turns out, not just a good athlete, she's also got a fantastic attitude. We caught up with her after the deadlifts and box jumps.
I never underestimate anybody, so I'm still gonna, try to bring my A game and not think that, I have anything. Like, it's always gonna be a fight, and, I'll never stop fighting.
Very Chris Spieler-esque in her attitude. I love it.
Super humble. When we spoke with her on the phone, that was one of the first things she said, is that she doesn't take any of this for granted, respects all the athletes behind her, as you have to when you've got Annie Sakamoto and Ashley Caravu, right behind you, that you can't take that for granted. But what I really loved about her, athletic achievements aside, that's great.
What's Pat's
you're
main
winning
question?
the region. I'm like, what are you going to have for achievement when this is all over? And I'm going to steal this term. She goes, well, I'm going to go get ice cream drunk.
Oh, sounds
Hell
good.
yeah, right?
Yeah, we still have a couple things we need to talk about with the NorCal women. Number one, China Cho had a really great day one, but she slipped to 5th place in day 2 with a 15th place in the hundreds and the 12th place overall in the deadlift box jump. Puts her in 5th place going into day 3. She's past games competitor, but we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. The other thing is, Pat, we got to give credit where credit is due. Yesterday, we talked. We even said it. We said that Chad McKay, he did well in the burpee muscle-ups. He surprised us, and no longer as a community could we say that, the bigger athletes were going to do good at the weightlifting and the smaller athletes at the body weight.
So fun to say, though. It's usually true.
And as we're walking up the stairs last night, we're saying that Sarah Hopping and Katie Hogan
she's
in
done.
the hundreds, just not going to be able to play it out. We're going to eat our words right now.
Yeah.
And Katie Hogan took 2nd place in the hundreds, and incredible
And
job.
even more embarrassing, not even for the show, I called her just as a friend. I'm like, hey, you really just shocked the hell out of me by doing so well in the hundreds. And she's like, why are you shocked? I won the hundreds in SoCal in 2011. I was like, are you sure?
No, Katie.
And she's like, yeah, I was there, and turns out she did. So I don't know why I was shocked. So hats off.
Take Katie Hogan and Annie Sakamoto, who got 2nd and 3rd in those two in that workout. Opposite ends of the spectrum and pretty
Both
comparable
fit.
fitness.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the unfortunate thing for those ladies, for Katie Hogan, is that tomorrow's events are not made for a big person, so she'll probably fall out. Let's move on to the teams. Together, everyone achieves more. We had in the team competition Santa Cruz. We missed yesterday giving them any love with video, so here's their shout out. Unfortunately, in event number 5, they didn't do as well and dropped out of that 2nd spot. When you look at the overall leaderboard, looks like 808 is going to dominate. They went 2nd and 1st on the day, leading Rockland by 10 points. And then Diablo Anejo jumps into qualification territory. They set a world record in event 4.
And what you saw happen there with Santa Cruz, I mean, that's just the evolution of what's going on with the team competition. You bring specialists or somebody that kind of has a hole in the fitness, that's not going to work. You need 6 CrossFitters to show up if you want to do well.
True, but one of the things I love about this regional is that there is one 2-person workout each day. And we talked about how you have to strategize for your team and play your individuals on day 1, 2, or 3, given the best strategy. So those teams that are ahead of CrossFit Santa Cruz, they might not have played their weakest link workout quite yet, and so we could still see some shift in the leaderboard.
Could have been a ruse. Could have been a ruse by CrossFit Santa Cruz. We're not giving anything away. We have a short break now, but don't go too far. When we come back, we'll talk about the massive shift to the men's leaderboard in South Central, and we'll talk about Africa as well. We'll be right back.
The CrossFit Games Update Show is brought to you in part by Progenics, the official performance nutrition sponsor of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games.
Yeah! All right, so I need more core to extremity. Yeah!
No.
Yes!
No.
Yeah!
Don't scream like that.
Yes!
No.
You really want to come from the diaphragm. You get it. Yeah! Yeah! Now kiss the baby.
Oh my goodness, Josh Bridges absolutely hammered those big guys. Woo! Unbelievable, look at this. Crushing the time by a minute. He took that time by a minute.
You always got to believe that you can do it. I tell that to people. It might not happen
this today, it might not happen this week, it might not happen next week, it might not even happen next year. But if you believe that it'll happen and you can do it, it will happen. It will. I know it will. I might not be the fastest, I might not be the most gymnasty out there, but I'll tell you what, I'm never gonna stop. Ever stop believing in what I can do. No one can take that away from me.
We head now to Texas and the Freeman Coliseum, where the men's race demonstrates that when you're talking about CrossFit, anything can happen. Chase Ingram, Captain America, entered day 2 as the overall leader by a seemingly comfortable 14-point lead over second place. He comes out on the hundreds with a great, consistent pace and actually takes the top spot in the heat. He's ahead of everybody. Jason Hogan on his heels trying to catch up.
Chase had a better pace than he could hope for. He was 4 minutes early to the dumbbell than what he'd done in training.
Outstanding. And in the end, Hogan could not keep pace with Chase. Chase finishes in 24 minutes and 10 seconds. Hogan would go on to finish the workout, but only as a buzzer beater. He just had 2 seconds left when he stood on the pad.
Yeah, Chase Hogan really needed that 4th place finish, though, because he's digging himself out of a poor day 1 where he took a 16th and the 36th place. So he needed that better spot.
Well, then he carried on that momentum into the next event, the deadlift box jumps, where he smoked the competition. He took the top spot by a country mile.
Yeah, 1st place in the deadlift box jump with a time of 3:29. He was pretty darn happy with that.
Now, but the big story, Chase Ingram, the leader coming in, just absolutely the wheels come off, and Chase does terribly in this event, digs himself into a hole.
Chase said this was going to be a tough event for you. Well, that's one thing, but he barely finished the work in the time cap.
Here we go, Asia Bartow, who we had not yet seen in the top 3, and Paul Smith, one of the stronger athletes. Asia Bartow comes in and jumps up in the overall standings, and then Mike McGoldrick sneaks in between Bartow and Paul Smith to take that other spot. So you've got now such ridiculous shifts in this leaderboard. Chase falls all the way down to 6th place, and Paul Smith is up from 11th to 1st. Chase Ingram clearly a little bit emotional after this event. We had a chance to catch up with him and get his thoughts.
It's a hard workout for me. The same workout that kept me out of the games in 2011. I was pretty confident going in, but that's why I went so hard in 4, because I know this one caused me problems. I got 3 no reps in the first set, and I should have stopped and panicked and kept going and just ran out of gas. So just gotta earn it back tomorrow.
It's got to be disappointing. How do you keep your mentality right going into day 3?
Well, 2011 got knocked out of contention and came back the last day and got 1st and 3rd. So we'll do the same thing tomorrow. Maybe it'll work out.
Now, in past regional events, it would be impossible to take 41st after the 5th event because there would have been cuts before that. That's obviously having a huge impact on Chase, at least.
Right, so if this was 2012, after the first 4 events, we would have cut the field to 16 participants. So at 16 athletes in the competition, the worst he could have gotten was 16 points total, and he's more than double that. But here's the thing, hear me out. Chase right now has 66 total points. Last week, we saw 2 regions send athletes in 3rd place to the games with 69 and 70 points respectively. That was the Southeast men and the Southern California men. Is it possible? He said he got 1st and 3rd in 2011 on the second day to pull him in, so we'll see.
That's a shload of points, but that's why this suddenly became one of my favorite regions for just sheer excitement. I mean, we have 1st to 4th place separated by only 2 points, so as far as I'm concerned, day 3, clean slate. Might as well be day 1. I have no idea who's going to the games from there.
Absolutely, and those I hate to say, the big guys, we don't know what they can do when we turn them upside down, right? Now, a less volatile competition. It was so dramatic in the men's that the women kept it real, and it was really the Jen Jones show. Jen Jones taking that 1st spot again throughout the day, starting with the hundreds, and she just carried that performance through the hundreds. Super steady, looked like she was racing against herself.
Yeah, she was another one that we caught up with on the phone today and has had just finish after, top of the leaderboard finish, and she's executing this game plan that she carried over from the Mid-Atlantic last year into a new region.
Yeah, I mean, she's taken 1st in 3 workouts over the course of the competition so far. When you look at her in the deadlift box jump, we saw her get a 45-second PR from the 2011 performance. I mean, she is moving in the right direction.
She didn't finish that event 4, but she was a top female in the region. But when we got to the deadlift box jump, it was actually this young lady, Candice Ruiz, the 2-time CrossFit Games competitor, who put on a show.
Yeah, Candice Ruiz is on a mission in this workout. It is very clear throughout the deadlifts and the box jump that she wants to win this workout. She needed it to pull her up a little bit more. She wants this trip back to the games.
So first in that event, she still sits in 4th, but now she's only 2 points away from qualifying. So she actually made huge gains in points, didn't make any placements up, but she's looking good. And all you got to say, though, about this leaderboard is Jen Jones, Jen Jones, Jen Jones, Jen Jones.
And tomorrow, that lady that you just mentioned should have a stellar day. She's a former gymnast. She is excited about the handstand push-ups in Event 6, which we said is a potential stumbling block, but not for her. And rewind the clock, last year, she won Diane out in her region last year, so I think she's going to do just fine.
You know what I like? I like that she was actually watching the show, because when you called her, she had a little...
She mentioned the small. She said she's getting a smallpox vaccine, so she's got a good sense of humor, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Jen, we're watching you as well. Let's move on to the team competition where Chase Ingram's gym, CrossFit Dallas Central, maintains the overall lead after day 2. They come out with a very strong showing in the deadlift box jump and again in event number 5, and it looks like those guys have a pretty strong hold on that top spot. Behind them, though, was CrossFit Atomic CrossFit, pardon me. Interesting about these guys, they stay in second after the end of the day, but they took first and then 18th place. So an extremely varied day, and they actually gave up a lot of ground with that 18th place.
Yeah, and it's even more amazing that none of their men in the open placed higher than 423rd in the region.
They're like the Bad News Bears. They play together as a team.
Yeah, they come together just fine.
Let that settle in. That's crazy. No better than 423 for the men, and they're sitting in second place in the region. Probably going to the CrossFit Games. That's fantastic.
Something's coming together.
We're going to make a big leap here. We're going to go from Texas all the way to Johannesburg, Africa.
Okay.
Another beautiful day of competition in Johannesburg. Not a lot of shifts in the actual leaderboard, but the points did shift around a little bit. So we see David Levy in the men's competition, maintains the spot, and it looks like barring any kind of catastrophe tomorrow, he's going to be back in Carson.
Yeah, David Levy's looked very clean, very thorough throughout all of these workouts. He's already taken 3 first place. He put in a 634 with the deadlift box jumps, which gave him his lowest score of the weekend, which was 5th.
Rika Diedrichs extends her lead from 2 points to 6 points over Carla Nunes de Costa. Rika Diedrichs a good showing on day 2, but we're going to talk about her day 3 here in a moment. In the team leaderboard, both of the teams still remaining in the competition, but CrossFit Platinum took first on both events for the day. Looks like they're going to be the guys coming out to the games. Remember, only one man, woman, and team go to the CrossFit Games when this is all said and done. And in the women's competition, it looks like Rika's running away with it, but tomorrow's going to be a whole different ballgame.
It's all about event 6 for her. I mean, let's not forget the past, right? When Diane came up previously at regionals, the time cap expired and she still had 18 handstand push-ups left to do. She has a set of 50 staying in her way tomorrow, and the lady nipping at her heels, DaCosta, did Diane in 4:25, so obviously she's fine with the handstand push-ups.
Yeah, and we talk about this all the time, and it's so fun and really exciting to see athletes make that transition from year 1 to year 2 and say, like, I am going to address this weakness, and here I'm going to put it on display. Done. Got it.
I hope she did. We'll see.
I think that she did, and I'm excited about it. We're going to take a quick break right now, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll break down action from Canada East, and then we'll head down under before we let you go. The CrossFit Games Update Show continues after this.
Wardrobe for the CrossFit Games Update Show has been provided in part by Mizzen & Main. Tradition evolved.
The same way that CrossFitters have taken fitness to a new level, we do the same thing with the equipment.
Since being involved owning affiliates, Rogue Fitness gear has made a gym owner's life that much better.
With CrossFit, they know what they want. And because we keep the work local in our shop, I can make changes based on their demands right away.
Do you have Rogue equipment? People look for that when they look at a gym. If it says Rogue on it, that's the mark of quality equipment.
I think what's cool is you only get better by training with other people.
The intensity level is high, the drive and the push is 10 times greater.
Some people might train by themselves, but we really represent like coming together as a community, pushing yourself. So it's this huge camaraderie and accountability.
When you feel like your mind is getting weak, it just gets you built up even that much more to push even harder when you see someone else going.
We head north of the border again for more Canada East action from the International Center in Toronto. The women's competition again, of course, is the Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, Michelle Letendre show. Surprisingly enough, Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet actually doesn't finish the hundreds.
Surprising, shocking. I mean, she rules chest-to-bar pull-ups, and then she loves the Olympic lifts. I thought she'd blow through the dumbbell, but still had 24 reps left.
Yeah, but she comes back, and of course, she bags a first place on the deadlift box jump, so she's in familiar territory. She goes second and first on the day, so kind of sticking with tradition, Camille, up there. But it's Michelle Letendre who did knock it out of the park on the hundreds.
Yeah, Michelle just proved herself on the hundreds. Beautiful repetitions throughout the workout. She put in a time of 4:22 on the deadlift box jump compared to Camille's 3:54. That gave Michelle 5 points in that workout. A lot of people look at it and say, oh, she didn't do so well. Only 30 seconds separated Camille and Michelle in that workout.
It's a game of seconds these days, isn't it? So on the women's side, of course, Camille is starting to make her move. She gets a little bit more space from Michelle because of that fourth place finish on the deadlift box jump. It's down to these two women. They're going to the CrossFit Games, so it's really just who wins. I'm still finding it extremely exciting.
Yeah, and Camille should solidify her lead even more tomorrow. A little birdie told me that she can do 75 handstand push-ups in one set. So event 6 has that set of 50. Camille, please do one set of 50 handstand push-ups. That would be the most badass highlight reel I've ever seen.
I dare you.
I dare you.
Was it a little bird or was it a big man who can squat lots of weight?
Well, let's not. I can't give up my sources.
Let's move on now to the men's division. Albert Dominic LaRue still maintains the top spot, but to be honest, it was moving day for another man, Matt Lefebvre. Lefebvre found himself in a similar situation last year, and he's moving up the leaderboard again.
Yeah, Matt Lefebvre did not have a great day one. He took 22nd in the burpee muscle-up workout, which put him in a hole going into day 2. However, he took 3rd place in the hundreds, not a bad performance there, and 3rd place in the deadlift box jump, which absolutely helps his cause, bringing him up into the 3rd place spot.
Dominic LaRouche had a little bit of a stumble on event 5, but he does maintain 1st place overall. The 2nd spot, though, is still up for grabs, so we'll see if Matt Lefebvre can produce tomorrow when the handstand push-ups, the axle come into play. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out for him. We had a chance to catch up with him after the day's competition was closed. Let's hear what he had to say.
I want to take it all tomorrow. I mean, I really want to make sure I get a good first event, and I think the second event will be in my favor. I have to do 50 handstand push-ups to make it there, and that was something I've worked a lot on, and I think I'm ready to do it and get my hands on that axle bar.
Says he worked on the handstand push-ups, but to get to that axle bar, he's going to have to charge through those 50.
Well, this is what separates the good from the great, right? And he admitted it. He knows what he has to work on, and most athletes do. But the tough part is actually getting in the gym every day and not doing what you want to do, but doing what you need to do. So we'll see if that happens.
I would like to hear a little bit more vote of confidence in himself in that statement. He said, I think I'm ready to do the handstand push-ups. I would have rather heard, I'm going to nail the handstand push-ups tomorrow. But we'll see how it plays out.
Performance will speak for him.
Yeah, listen, you nitpicking with your Anthony Robbins. I got to hear it in your ears. I got to hear some Greg Amundsen positive self-talk. Let's check out the team overall standings. The leaderboard shows Lucene CrossFit Games veterans still on top of the boards. Looks like they're going to go to California. First on the day, solidifies that spot. CrossFit Select went 4-3. Lucene CrossFit and Select are really head and shoulders above the rest of the pack. Looks like they're going to be our teams in California. So we head down south, check in on our friends in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia. And I understand, I've been saying this wrong. Wollongong.
How could you say that wrong?
Wollongong. It sounds more like Asia than Australia, but I apologize, my friends. A world record produced in the team division, but first in the men. Rob Forte moves up a couple of spots. This is the Games veteran. He capitalizes on Chad McKay's mistake, does fantastic in the hundreds, and now he's tied for first at the end of the day.
Yeah, Rob Forte started the day out in 7th and now wound up in 1st place. He did this because of a strong performance in the hundreds, took 3rd in the hundreds, and then took 5th in the deadlift box jump, but it was also paired with just poor overall performances from Chad McKay and Matt Healy in the hundreds with a 21st and a 12th place finish.
Yeah, Healy I'm concerned about. Okay, he's sitting in that 3rd spot, but he's only 2 points ahead of Brandon Swan, who's a Games veteran, young kid, looking strong. Forte and McKay, I'm going to say they're going to go ahead and go to the CrossFit Games. They're tied for first, but that 3rd spot to the Games, in my opinion, is still up for grabs.
Yeah, and I don't think really McKay's quite out of the woods. I mean, he looks great, but he really didn't do as well in the heavy deadlift that I thought, so I'm potentially worried about event 7. And like you said, we got Brandon Swan, a veteran, young kid, but a veteran, so don't count him out.
Well, and Matt Healy has a singlet.
Yeah, Flair goes so
sort of power
far.
associated with that.
You know what's interesting with him wearing that singlet? We haven't seen the streaker yet in Australia. Could it be one and the same? Could it be one and the same? Let's move on now to the women's division, where Kara Webb, formerly Kara Gordon, as we used to know her, is cleaning it up and looking super strong. She came into the hundreds, and just like you said with Khalipa in NorCal, she just looked comfortable. She looked calm and relaxed.
Kara Webb is a beast. I'll tell you what, I looked at all this girl's stats of days 1 and 2 so far. Put her in any region, I'm saying she could be top 10 at the games.
Solid. Now, Ruth Anderson Harrell, I also have been told I'm not giving the shout out to the Kiwis, and she deserves it. Of course, she's in familiar territory now after day 2's performance. She sits in 2nd place overall. Love to you, Ruth. But the newcomer, Pip Malone, stayed strong. She dropped down a few spots, but Pip Malone looks like if she can produce handstand push-ups, and she's got rope climbs on day 3, I think we're going to see her at the CrossFit Games. She's looking very strong. Leaderboard shows Kara Webb on top, Ruth Anderson Harrell muscles in, and Amy Dracup, though, Amanda Allen, those are 2 athletes sitting right outside of contention. I don't want them on my heels as we're going to the last day.
No, it kind of breaks my heart, honestly. I'm fans of both those ladies. Amy Dracup, I watched her win a region a couple years ago, and Amanda Allen, I mean, she's so motivated to go, but the competition down there is getting stiff.
Yeah, and again, Pip Malone's been pretty darn consistent up until the deadlift box jump where she took 13th place. If she's got that kind of weak workout out of the way, we could see a very strong day 3, and she'll hold on to that 3rd place spot. And
rumor has it, word around the campfire, that it's possible surprise event, slalom canoeing.
She's in.
Yeah,
she's in.
When we get to Carson in July. So let's move on to the teams, check in on who's doing well, and it's Schwartz CrossFit Melbourne that maintains the top spot after the day. They've sort of started to run away. It looks like they might be one of our team going to Carson, and then 2 wins on the day for the 2nd place team, who actually set a world record on Event 5, CrossFit Active. I say world records, best in 2013. Schwartz CrossFit only 3 points ahead, and then CrossFit Active in that 3rd place spot. Southern CrossFit will certainly have their work cut out for them if they think they're going to make it to the games.
Yeah, but still, if you look across the board, and that's a pretty tight run for those top 3 spaces.
It's going to be an exciting day. You were excited about day 2. I've always been excited about day 3 after seeing Europe, where Miko Salo, Lacey Kovacs went head-to-head in an amazing last workout. So what are you guys going to be watching tomorrow, this last day of competition?
Well, I'm going to be watching everything, of course, but I'm so excited to see the South Central men because I literally have no damn idea who's going to the games. And NorCal women. Pacelli's established herself as an animal, but 2nd and 3rd, I think we could see some shifts there.
I hope that the athletes watching from last week and saw just how much of a shift in the leaderboard there was on day 3, and that nobody is counting themselves out going into day 3. It's wide open in every single region, especially for the 3rd place spots.
Oh yeah, 6 and 7.
You're like a life coach.
6 and 7.
So positive. We hope that you all will join us tomorrow. Our live show starts at 3 p.m. Pacific time, where, of course, we'll live stream the final heats of event number 7 for men and women from South Central and NorCal. We'll have all the day's action from the non-live regionals as well to recap keep you up to date on the athletes from around the world who you'll see in Carson, California in July. We'll see you then tomorrow. For Pat Sherwood and Nicole Christensen, I'm Rory McKernan saying good night.